The science of today is the technology of tomorrow.
The moon is the first milestone on the road to the stars.
Welcome to the deep dive. You just heard Edward Teller and Arthur C. Clarke
Yeah.
and those quotes. Well, they couldn't be more fitting for what we're getting into today. We're talking about the moon, but maybe not the way you usually think about it. This isn't just about planting flags anymore or, gazing up at Chanda Mama.
Absolutely. We're basing this discussion on some recent sources, including a really sharp piece from the Tribune you shared, and it points us to something huge happening.
Huge how?
The moon's fundamentally changing its role. It's moving from just being, up there, to becoming a place where the future of technology is actively being built.
Wow.
And right at the center of that transformation, artificial intelligence.
Okay, so that's our mission for this deep dive then. We need to understand why this is happening, why now?
Right.
What makes the moon suddenly this critical tech hub? How exactly is AI, the essential brain, making it all work up there?
And who's leading this new race? It sounds like there is a race.
Definitely feels like it. And importantly, what does all this mean for countries like India and, the broader global south?
And look, this isn't just some far-off space story. For you listening, getting a handle on this shift is really key.
Why is that?
Well, it touches everything. Cutting-edge science and tech, global strategy, international relations. It's core current affairs.
So really important for general knowledge.
Absolutely. And especially relevant if you're tracking developments for competitive exams, like, say, the UPSC mains and prelims. This is the kind of intersectional topic that comes up.
Got it. Okay, let's dive in. For decades, the moon missions, they felt driven by national pride, right? Being first, planting the flag. Huge symbolic moments.
Yeah, the Apollo era, for instance.
But the sources we're looking at suggest something different is driving the bus now, something maybe more pragmatic.
It's a total paradigm shift, really. The main motivation isn't just the symbol anymore. It's strategic, it's technological.
So how are they framing it?
The sources describe the moon's new role as, fundamentally, a technology hub. Think of it like an off-world laboratory.
A tech hub on the moon. That still sounds pretty out there. Why the moon specifically? What makes it so special for building future tech?
It's precisely because it's so extreme and different from Earth. You've got incredibly low gravity, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got virtually no atmosphere, a near perfect vacuum. And you have these wild temperature swings.
Which sound like massive problems, not advantages.
Well, yes and no. For humans, sure. But for certain kinds of advanced research and maybe eventually industrial processes, these conditions are actually ideal. Things that are difficult or impossible to do cleanly here because of Earth's atmosphere, gravity, or just background noise.
Okay, like what? Give us some examples of these futuristic activities that need lunar conditions.
Sure. The sources mention running experiments in quantum physics. Delicate quantum states are easily disturbed by Earth's noisy environment. The moon's vacuum is perfect.
Okay.
Then there's testing advanced AI-powered robots. We're better to test robots designed for extreme, unstructured environments than, the moon.
Makes sense.
What else? Mining for valuable resources. The source specifically flags helium-3. It's much more abundant there than here, and it's seen as a potential fuel for future fusion power plants. Clean energy.
Helium-3 fusion.
Oh,
Okay, that adds a huge strategic layer.
definitely. And then there's the idea of building a completely new kind of internet using quantum communication.
Quantum communication. How does the moon help there?
Again, it's the quiet environment. Developing secure, super-fast quantum networks is a major goal. The moon could be an ideal testing ground, maybe even a relay station free from Earth's interference.
So the analogy the source used, if Silicon Valley created the last tech revolution.
The moon can create the next one. Exactly. Powered by AI, quantum tech, robotics, it really reframes the whole thing.
Yeah, it shifts the moon from just a destination to a platform.
Yeah.
And you said AI is central to making this platform work. The source called it the brain.
That's the term used, yes. And it's not just a metaphor. On Earth, AI is often a tool, an assistant. It optimizes, it analyzes.
Right.
On the moon, the sources stress, AI's role is different. It's not just helpful. It's fundamental to the mission's survival and success. It has to be the brain.
Why? Why is it so indispensable up there compared to here?
Yeah.
What makes it non-negotiable?
It really boils down to the harsh realities. We mentioned the environment, no air, no water readily available, extreme temperatures.
Mm-hmm.
But the killer operational challenge, it's the distance, the communication delay.
Ah, the speed of light limitation.
Precisely. Radio signals take over a second to get from Earth to the moon, and another second plus to get back. So you're looking at a minimum 2.5 second round trip delay.
Which doesn't sound like much,
But imagine you're remotely driving a rover near a crater edge. You see a rock. By the time your command to stop or swerve reaches the rover, it might already be too late.
Okay, yeah. Real-time control is basically impossible for anything complex or fast-moving.
Exactly. So the machines have to think for themselves. They need to perceive their surroundings, make decisions, and act autonomously. And that level of autonomy requires sophisticated AI.
Right. The brain analogy makes perfect sense now. So let's unpack the specific jobs AI is doing or will be doing, according to the sources. How is it making lunar missions feasible?
Okay. Several key areas. First up, and maybe the most critical right at the start, is autonomous landing and navigation.
Getting down safely.
Yes. Landing on the moon is incredibly risky. No runways, no GPS, just rocks, craters, slopes. It's treacherous. AI systems are being developed to guide the landers down completely on their own.
How?
They scan the surface during descent, identify safe landing zones in real time, avoid hazards like big boulders or steep inclines, all faster than a human controller on Earth could possibly react.
Like the ultimate self-driving car, but for landing a spaceship in the middle of nowhere.
That's a good way to put it. And building on that, once you're safely down, you need smart rovers and robotic explorers.
Not just remote-controlled buggies anymore.
No, forget those. We're talking AI-powered robots that can roam far and wide, largely on their own.
Doing what?
Identifying interesting rocks or soil, collecting samples, spotting potential dangers like hidden cracks or unstable ground, planning their own routes. Basically being autonomous field scientists and engineers. No need for constant step-by-step commands.
Okay. And I know there's a lot of talk about building things on the moon, using local materials. Where does AI fit in there?
That's 3D printing and lunar construction. You see, launching heavy building materials from Earth is just incredibly expensive.
Prohibitively so, I imagine.
You're right. So the plan is to use the moon dust itself, the regolith. AI is critical for managing the complex process of using autonomous 3D printers with this unusual material.
How so?
AI monitors everything. The print quality, the consistency of the regolith mixture, the extreme temperature changes, the structural integrity. It ensures the buildings, landing pads, or whatever are constructed properly without astronauts needing to supervise every layer.
So AI is the foreman for the robot builders.
Essentially, yes. And you see organizations like ESA, the European Space Agency, and many private companies really pushing this AI-driven construction tech.
Okay, AI driving, AI exploring, AI building. What about supporting the humans when they eventually go back for longer stays?
That's another key role. Health and safety for astronauts. Long missions in space, especially somewhere like the moon, are incredibly tough on the human body and mind.
I can imagine.
AI systems can constantly monitor vital signs, look for subtle early signs of illness or stress, maybe even predict potential health issues before they become serious.
Like a super smart Fitbit combined with a doctor.
Kind of. And it can also act as an intelligent assistant, providing mental support, information, basically around-the-clock, vigilant health monitor and companion.
And what about the unexpected? Space is famous for throwing curveballs.
Absolutely crucial. That's real-time decision-making. This is where AI speed is irreplaceable.
Like if there's a sudden solar flare.
Exactly. Or a critical system failure. An AI could instantly analyze data from hundreds of sensors, diagnose the problem, and execute complex emergency procedures. Maybe rerouting power, sealing off a habitat section, warning astronauts all in milliseconds.
Faster than humans could even realize there's a problem.
Much faster. In that environment, seconds can literally be life or death. AI's ability to make those split-second complex decisions is vital.
So it's not just automating tasks. It's like AI is providing the core cognitive functions needed to even operate there.
That's precisely the point the sources make. AI isn't an add-on. It is the mission commander, the chief engineer, the driver, the builder, the doctor, all rolled into one autonomous system. It's the invisible, indispensable force making it all possible.
Okay. Shifting gears slightly, you mentioned quantum physics earlier and quantum communication. The sources link this to the moon, too.
Yes, it's a fascinating angle. Quantum technology, things like quantum computers, quantum communication systems, they're seen as the next huge leap. Think unhackable messages, solving problems that are impossible for current computers.
Right, the next generation of computing and internet.
Exactly. And the moon, apparently, is a surprisingly good place to develop and test this stuff.
Why there?
Because Earth is electromagnetically noisy. All our radio waves, magnetic fields, they interfere with the extremely delicate states needed for quantum operations. The moon, being airless and relatively quiet, is almost perfect for these sensitive experiments.
So it's like a clean room for quantum tech.
A very, very large one. The source even uses this great analogy. The moon could become like a giant router in the sky, helping build a faster, fundamentally more secure quantum internet for the world, guided by AI, of course, to manage the complex systems.
Wow, a giant router in the sky. That certainly paints a picture. Given all this incredible potential, the resources, the tech development platform, it must be sparking a new kind of space race, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely heating up.
So who are the main players staking their claim in this lunar tech boom?
The sources are pretty clear on the leaders right now. You have the United States, primarily through NASA's Artemis program. Their stated goal is a sustained human presence, eventually leading to a permanent base.
Artemis, right. And the other big player?
China. They're moving very fast, often collaborating with Russia. They have plans for their own international lunar research station.
So U.S. versus China, Russia, primarily.
Those are the main government-led efforts, yes. But crucially, it's not just governments this time around.
The private companies.
Exactly. Companies like SpaceX, Blue Origin, and many others aren't just launch providers anymore. They're actively developing their own landers, rovers, habitats, even asteroid mining tech. It's a much more complex picture, a mix of national ambitions and powerful commercial interests.
And the motivation driving all this, it's not just science or prestige anymore, is it?
No, while those still play a part, the core driver, according to the sources, seems to be controlling the next generation of technology. By using the moon as their R&D lab and proving ground, establishing a presence, mastering lunar resource extraction, perfecting autonomous systems, building quantum networks there. It's about gaining a strategic edge in the technologies that will define the future economy and maybe even global power dynamics. They're not just going for fun.
Which brings us to a really critical question the source raises, especially for our listeners in India and other parts of the global south. With this high-stakes race for technological dominance on the moon underway, where do other countries fit in?
This is a really important point the source emphasizes, almost like a call to action. It fully acknowledges India's incredible recent achievements, like the Chandrayaan-3 landing.
A huge moment.
Absolutely, a landmark success. And the upcoming Gaganyaan mission to send Indian astronauts into orbit. These demonstrate serious scientific and engineering capabilities, no question.
But the argument in the source is that, in this new context, just getting there isn't the whole game anymore.
Precisely. The source argues that countries like India need to think bigger, more strategically about the moon as an industrial and technological frontier, not just a place for science experiments.
Meaning what specifically?
Meaning shifting focus towards actively building the enabling technologies for this new lunar era. Developing sophisticated AI systems tailored for lunar operations, investing seriously in quantum communication research and infrastructure, pushing the envelope in autonomous robotics and lunar construction techniques using regolith.
So, treating space and the moon less like a pure science project and more like a platform for building future industries.
Exactly that. Seeing it as a long-term economic and technological opportunity.
And this isn't just for India.
No, the source explicitly mentions this is crucial for countries across the global south, citing examples like Brazil, South Africa, Nigeria alongside India. There's a stark warning embedded in the analysis.
Which is?
If these nations don't actively participate now in developing and deploying the core technologies for the lunar future, the AI, the robotics, the communications they risk being left behind, seriously left behind.
And the consequence of being left behind in this lunar tech boom.
They end up becoming customers. They'll have to buy the technology and services from those who did build it. The window to be a co-creator, a builder on this new frontier might be closing faster than we think.
It really forces a shift in perspective.
It does. It contrasts that sort of traditional, almost mythical view of the moon, like Chandamama for many in India, with this emerging reality. The moon is becoming a workplace, a lab, a strategic asset where the future is being actively coded and constructed, primarily by AI, advanced science, and frankly, bold strategic vision.
It certainly makes you look up at the night sky differently.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try to wrap this up. Bringing it back to our listener. What does this deep dive into the moon's AI-powered future really mean for you? Why should you care about all this?
Look, understanding this is important on several levels. First, it gives you insight into the absolute cutting edge of technology. You're seeing how AI, robotics, quantum tech aren't just buzzwords. They're enabling entirely new frontiers of human activity.
Right, it's where the future is happening.
Second, it highlights the intensity of modern global competition. Technological leadership and geopolitical strategy are becoming deeply intertwined, and the moon is a new arena for that.
And for listeners perhaps focused on UPSC or similar exams,
For you, this is a prime example of the kind of dynamic, multifaceted issue that's critical to grasp. It connects science, technology, international relations, economic strategy, and India's place in the evolving global order. Understanding these connections is key.
so this deep dive, drawing on sources like that piece in the Tribune, really underscores a major shift. The moon isn't just a rock anymore, it's rapidly becoming a vital hub for advanced technology, and AI is effectively the operating system making it all run.
And it leaves us with that really compelling question the source implicitly asks. As this next technological era unfolds on the moon, will it be shaped primarily by a few major players? Or will countries like India and others across the global south step up and become active architects of that future themselves? That choice, in many ways, is being made right now.
A powerful thought to end on. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the moon's technological horizon. We hope it's given you some fresh perspectives.
Yes, and if you found this discussion valuable, especially if you're tracking current affairs or maybe preparing for exams like UPSC, please do consider liking and subscribing to the deep dive. It really helps us continue these explorations.
And please leave a comment below if you have any questions or your own thoughts about AI's role on the moon
Right.
or India's path forward. We do read all of them.
We do.
Until next time, keep diving deep.